I'm standing on the beach, the Pacific Ocean, and this is where behind me that wall is receding into the Pacific Ocean. And so then it goes up a hill, and I'm looking up the hill there, and there's a little boy right at the vanishing points who seems to be running off. So in being black and white, and with those vanishing points all sort of going to that one spot where the boy is running off, it does appear, and it does give the impression that it goes on forever, which it basically does. You know. The other thing is, being a photographer, I'm completely selecting a piece of my surroundings. And Playas de Tijuana, which is where this is, that's the part of Tijuana that's the beach,
Right.
has an atmosphere that's almost like an amusement park. It is completely, there's a place for people to work out. When I first arrived there was a yoga class going on the beach. There was women working out. All that border wall that you see there is got murals on it. There are street vendors. There's a migrant shelter right there. There's a lot going on there. It's extremely fascinating. You have so many things going on.
Wow.
In this one location. And there are lonely moments like this, but at the same time, there are moments with families doing selfies. So there's a lot going on there. My take on this picture, which I really find to be a moving image. It's one of my favorite pictures that I've taken. And of course, I like all the patterns that are happening in it. The wall is being reflected in the car. The leopard pattern there, and then the coils of concertina wire on the top. To me, what it communicates is concealment. Everything is being concealed. We have, the sunscreen is concealing, the wall is concealing. Obviously, the concertina wire is definitely something to run from. And that shows me that it's almost like you're taking advantage of a culture and then you're concealing that. And that's what makes it really interesting to me. It makes me want to go and find out more. Right? Especially as a photographer or any artist. Something that's being concealed, your job is to unconceal it. The other picture I'll bring up, which is the one right there, Yeah, and
this is so disturbing. So sad.
what's interesting is that's happening almost in the exact same spot as the other picture we just talked about, but on the other side. But several years before, that cannot happen now.
Oh, God.
Right? So even though you find that sad, that picture, which I kind of call the family reunion, because it's two sides of the family. One is on the American side, one is on the Mexican side, and they're having a reunion at the border. They cannot cross the border, both for various reasons. Neither can cross the border. On the one side, if they crossed over, they were afraid that they wouldn't be allowed back. And the other one on this side just cannot go back, cannot come into America. So, but there's hope there in some ways. That love can sort of transcend borders. I look at the hands of the woman who's holding the boy's head to her, how firm and loving they are. You can almost see the way she's kind of lovingly holding. And then at the same time, it's sad because no young boy should have this as memory for him, that he visits family through a barricade.
Clouds you see at midnight, prayers you say unto my eyes, unfurl like flowers, fading here, fading here. Clouds you see at midnight, prayers you say unto my eyes, unfurl like flowers, fading here, fading here, fading here, fading here.
A major concern I think anyone has who is from a different culture. And also, when I went down to photograph the border, my intention was not to concentrate on one side of the border necessarily. I do find that the Mexican side of the border is more interesting, mainly because our own side is more like a prison. So it's not, photography is sort of looked at as it's prohibited in a lot of spots, right? And really what you have when you look at it is a prison wall. You have concertina wire, you have, the fence, the high border fence, and you have border patrol everywhere. And then you go into the Mexican side and you have, beautiful art. You have murals on the border fence. You have, the other thing you have though, unfortunately, is a lot of memorials, and you have a lot of losses that are stacking up. So you have a lot of crosses. You have a lot of depictions of people who have passed away, or their memory is sort of gone, and they're trying to keep the memory alive. Yes, it's definitely more interesting to photograph in Mexico. And then the other thing I want to just say about the texture, I think being, part of this is technique. Part of it is, composition and just looking deeply. But there's a lot going on in a lot of these pictures. There's a lot of sun. There's a lot of advertisements in the backdrop. There's shadow, and there's people that are sort of walking in the middle of this scene, and all of those things combine, and all their textures are very much alive. Technically, because I photograph with a very, very wide depth of field. So a lot of my street photography is sharp front and in the foreground and the background, which reveals a lot of texture. For example, in those walls, and
Yes.
close-ups and stuff.
Now, in this image here of the kids creating the art,
Yes.
these kids, they pop off the wall,
Mm-hmm.
But it does show the beautiful art that's being created. So
Yeah. It is. Yeah. What's interesting about that one, what I love is, and that's taken in Nogales, Arizona. It's a program where somebody who is actually connected, who was an intern in the Border Community Alliance, started this program, and it deals mostly with tennis, but one of their side programs was drawing this mural. And I love the fact that they're engaged in a mural, which is a very big part of sort of what I see as Mexican heritage murals. That particular picture is a flock of birds that is in Nogales, Sonora's downtown, about a block from the port of entry. And it's a very vibrant downtown with street food. Again, similar to Playas de Tijuana, life is lived on the streets in Mexico much more than in the United States. I mean, so as a photographer, street life, if you're going to photograph the streets, you want a lot of stuff happening. You want music. You want people to be engaged in something so that you can photograph them being engaged. You don't necessarily want them engaged with you. Your goal is to be respectful, but also be a fly on the wall. It sort of speaks about freedom.